Hello and good morning or afternoon or even evening. I don't know when you're watching this. Today I'm going to show you how I achieve my Instagram photos. I get loads of questions actually quite often about how I take them, what makeup I do, what lighting, camera, etc. So I thought, right, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna share my tips and my tricks. Hopefully you can take away some information. These are some of my favourite makeup looks that I've done and probably the ones I get most asked on. I think it's because of how glowing the skin is, and there's definitely different tricks I do with my makeup for photos as opposed to kind of like every day. So keep watching to the end to find out how to take the best Instagram photos. Well, maybe not the best, okay, right, I humble myself. Okay, so I have done my base makeup already. This is because it's just like the same as what I usually do. Just a bit of concealer, a bit of mascara, a bit of bronzer. I think the key for Instagram photos is honestly in the highlighting and the blush. So I'm gonna show you some new favorite products that I found. Okay, these are the new fwee pudding pots. These are a gorgeous texture, I don't know if you can see. They're like jelly. They're so fun. They're really fun to play with. They're just unreal. I think the reason I love these for photos is because they're blurring. What I've noticed on set is makeup artists tend not to use a lot of powder. And so I find by using a formula like this, which is like really blurring and kind of matte, but it just makes your makeup look flawless. You know when you take a photo and you can just see the texture? I think that's often because you've used too much powder. And because of this texture, you can kind of build these up and they don't look like powder because of the formula, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well. But these are my two favourite shades. I've got My and Faded, and I love mixing blushes together. I think that's how you also get a really natural effect, because obviously when you're sunburned or blushed or rosy, you're never just one shade. And so I think you can really get like a sunburn look by mixing two shades. So I'm firstly taking the shade Faded. I'm just gonna go straight in with the brush. You can see how much product kind of picks up because of the texture. And then I'm just gonna apply that to my cheek. And the thing I love most is how blendable these are, because I probably put on a bit too much to begin with, but it's literally just blended out. Can you see how it looks literally like my skin still? And I think that's because of that mattifying blurring effect. And now I'm going to take the shade My, and I'm going to concentrate this a bit more like down to the apple of my cheek. This is like a pinkier shade. I do just feel like for blush you can never apply too much, and especially with this formula because it's so buildable, as it's a very natural lightweight formula. So I've put on quite a lot, but like you can't actually detect it, if that makes sense. Oh, I just love how it looks. And can you see how by just adding blush it really kind of evens out your complexion, makes you look super healthy, and I love blush. It's like, I can't actually describe how it feels. It kind of feels like a cushion. It's a mixture between a mousse and a powder. It's one of those you have to go and touch it to know what it feels like. But these are available in Boots in the UK, so you can definitely go in and just give it a feel. Honestly, it's incredible. But this is in the shade My. Get a look for how buildable it is there. And then I'll show you Faded up close. And can you see how they're just slightly different shades, but they've still got the same kind of beautiful, neutral, warm undertone? It's so important to get a shade that suits your complexion. I've kind of spoken briefly about the colour wheel theory, and basically depending on your complexion, different blush colours will really either lift your face or actually make your appearance look more dull. Noticing what jewellery colour you wear, so if you wear silver or if you wear gold, and you find which one suits you more. Usually if you wear gold jewellery, that means you've got a warmer undertone to your skin, so shades like Faded and My will look lovely on your complexion. If you prefer wearing silver jewellery, then you might have more of a cool undertone, meaning a bluer, pinkier undertone to the blush will really flatter your skin tone. Okay, and I've just swatched the shade Baby down there because this is a shade that I think will look so beautiful on a cooler undertone skin. I mean, the thing with the fwee blushes, oh my god, I get this. The thing with the fwee blushes is I think lots of them have quite neutral undertones. They actually kind of work for both complexions. Play around, see what you think suits you and brings out your eye colour. You can just look basically by looking at it and holding it up close to your cheeks, which like lifts your colour and complexion and which shades don't. As I mentioned, yeah, you can see them in Boots, so you can try them all for yourself, and the texture, because the texture is really cool. Really fun. I picked up most of my tips for photos from makeup artists because obviously I'm on set taking photos. They do the makeup to look good in the pictures, so I'm like, okay, whatever they do must work. They always apply a thick layer of lip mask on my lips before applying a lip product, just because then it moisturizes them. So I kind of dab off the excess, and then I'll just go in with a lip liner. And then for photos, I usually just love a glossy lip. I think it photographs so beautifully. It just kind of like draws attention to your features. That's what I love doing with my makeup for photos. I just love bringing attention to my natural features. From the same brand, I've actually got this lip gloss. It's their 3D volumizing gloss, and it's just so moisturizing and nourishing on the lips. I usually apply 2 thick coats just to make sure they're extra glossy, and I don't know if you can see how it's just a gorgeous, lovely neutral shade that kind of really is your lips better. And again, I just can't get over how cute the packaging is. Like, are you kidding me? Literally, and it's so little, so you can just like slip it in your bag. So that's another top tip. I've got those are things I take in my bag with me, just to kind of like touch up as you need. So I'll share that later on. And whilst those fwee blushes are really good at like blurring the pores and just making your complexion look so even, not patchy, because that's what I often find as well from using powders and like different formulas. You can sometimes get really patchy makeup. I haven't found that with those blushes. I go in with this. These are their glowing jelly pots. So this is just gonna add that glow back to your face. I've got mine in the shade Mellow Mango, and I think it's just a really, again, just a lovely neutral pink. I'm gonna go in with this brush again, and then concentrating that kind of like on the high points of my face. Can you just see how natural that glow is? Because this doesn't have actually any glitter in it, which is what I typically go for when picking out a glowing product, because I want my skin to naturally glow, not feel like a streaky highlighter. Like you know when you've just seen those photos and they literally come back and it looks like a white line on your face? By using a product like this, you don't get that effect. This will just give you that kind of glass skin. The thing is you have to take this off of me because I could just go and apply literally the whole thing. I'm not going to today. I might actually put a bit on the nose. And also I love taking a bit on my forehead just to kind of like bring in the whole look together. And that is the makeup done. As you can see, it was literally super quick and simple, but it just looks flawless, if I do say so myself. I'm going to show you up close so you can like really see how blurring those pudding pots are. Only the pudding pots are available in Boots at the moment, so you can't get the glowing one, which is really annoying because look at that glow. And also the lip gloss. But yeah, let me know what you think about the makeup. And now I'm going to get into sharing other tips and tricks I do for my photos. Okay, so the camera that I either use my iPhone. With this, I found that you can change the setting. This is a really good trick for when like your friends are taking photos of you, to where you get, oh, I'll have it on me. Hello. But can you see how it's got the picture grid? And I find by having that, you can kind of like line up and make sure it's not wonky and the photo turns out like straight and clear. You can kind of find the best angles. And then of course, everyone loves a digital camera, and this is the one I use. And this is actually really sentimental to me because it's my grand's old one. So we used to take it on holidays with us and like capture all the holidays. So now whenever I take photos on this, I don't know, it kind of makes the photo more special in a way. I feel like my grand's like with me taking the photos. I don't know. But this is the Sony Cybershot. It's super old. And it's actually really funny because whenever I like transfer the photos, it literally says 2007. And everyone's like, why does my photo say 2007? Like, that is because this camera is nearly older than me. I find that I always make sure the setting is on flash. Even in daylight, I just love how I think flash really can pick up like the glowingness, the lighting. It elevates it. The best lighting for daylight is when it's really bright, which doesn't happen a lot in England, but often when there's like loads of white around, because the white reflects and really makes your eyes vibrant and your skin look more even. I actually don't like taking photos in like golden hour. You know, when there's like the whole trend. I don't know, I just find that sometimes it's too harsh and it can really actually wash you out, especially if you don't have a tan. Which I don't at the moment because I've been on holiday. But yeah, lighting wise, I think it is really, really personal. Often my photos on holiday turn out better just because it's brighter and sunnier over there. But that's why with night lighting, using a digital camera will literally be your best friend, because it just makes everything look better. I kind of find this also blurs out your skin as well a bit. But like on the topic of makeup, that's why I think you can always afford to go a bit heavier, like on the blush today, and you know, because then it really captures well on camera, as opposed to, you know, when you take photos and then you look at your face and it looks a bit flat, often because you haven't applied enough colour to your face. So yeah, don't be shy on using quite a lot. And then some bits and bobs that I just carry around in my bag with me is usually a hairbrush, or actually a hair comb. I prefer a hair comb to a hairbrush. Someone told me it makes your hair less greasy, and so now I love a hair comb. And also an eyelash curler, because I feel like your hair and your eyelashes, you just always want to be right, and those can both be disrupted by the wind. In London it's very windy, so yeah, I always kind of like pull pictures. I'll just like quickly curl my eyelashes or just give my hair a comb through. You have to give it a comb through now. It's just a really good way to like quickly refresh yourself. I also sometimes like carrying around a face mist as well, just to bring life back to my makeup if I've been wearing it for a long time. And then posing. I feel like this is where I get the most questions, is how to pose. And I wouldn't say I'm a professional, but technically modelling is posing, so I'm a professional poser. That's what my mum calls me anyway, and my gran says you're always such a poser. In fact, she always says that I don't smile, so maybe smile in your pictures and then you'll get my gran's approval. But I always just think with posing is the more confident you are, the better the photo will be. I've taken photos before where I've literally taken them, as soon as I've looked at them, I've been like, oh no, I hate, delete all of them. And then I'll go back and look at them the next day and I'll be like, oh, actually they weren't that bad. Because sometimes I feel like we just get in your own head about it. Movement is key. Like, there's nothing worse than just like a static photo, because I feel like it's just one of those photos, you know, on Facebook, like your mum used to be like, right, smile, and then you're literally stood, hello. It just looks stiff and not natural. I find my favourite photos are often like in the moment, or even when I don't even realise that my friend has a camera. So that's a good tip, is when taking photos, is to kind of forget about taking a photo, if that makes sense. Yeah, also not being afraid to kind of do different poses, find what works for you. That's what I found with modelling, is I had to find which poses I look good in for like castings and things, because often a lot of them aren't flattering and it's so individual to the person. So really play around in the mirror and just, yeah, whatever you do, do it with confidence. Just like anything in life, really. If you have any other questions about anything, leave them down below. But that's kind of everything. I think all of my knowledge I've accumulated thus far. You never know, I might get some more tips and tricks and ideas. Yeah, that is how I take my Instagram photos, the makeup I do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.